Another video? Yup. I think it'll be helpful if I show you how to cut foam board, because we've been doing a lot with card stock, but I think that the foam board is important also to know how to cut. We generally have white and black floating around. There should be some in the drawer in back near the window in the design studio. If you look pretty far down, you'll see it says foam board or foam core or something like that. But there are also some full sheets standing up near the printer. Do try to be efficient about how you use it. Don't like take a whole sheet and cut something small out of the middle of it, because then that just sort of wastes it for everybody else. But I'm looking at this and I noticed that the edge is kind of buggered. So what I want to do is go along and slice some of that off, so I'm starting with a good clean edge. When I cut foam core or foam board, I want to make sure I start with a nice sharp blade. So again, I like pliers to do this. It's much easier, I think, and I snap it very quickly, and I made sure that the part that I want to keep is just tucked inside that edge of the knife there. And so what I'm going to do is lightly score one time, almost like I'm drawing a pencil line. Then I can push a little bit deeper, and I'm trying to keep my knife, if you look at from this angle, I'm trying to keep my knife fairly straight. If I'm like all angled, then I'm going to get a really angled cut. But it took me 3 times to go through that, and what that does is it gives me a nice clean edge. If I just try to, well, that was pretty straight. I was going to say, if I just have a dull blade, I wonder if this one's duller, and I do it freehand, it can get all kind of wonky and nasty. Don't do it. Just take a straight edge, nice sharp blade, and score lightly at first, right? And again, I'm on a good cutting surface here. Lightly at first kind of gives you your pencil line. Keep your blade nice and straight. Second pass gets me deeper, and the third pass I push pretty hard, and then that gives me a nice straight clean cut for building something now out of this. So if I were making, say, a table, and I had my person here and I was making my table top, you can measure and get very accurate, or what I'm trying to do is just eyeball this to make sure that I'm pretty straight. One light cut, second pretty straight cut most of the way through, third cut finishes it off. Now I notice here that the ends are a little wonky, and I want it kind of shorter anyhow, so I'm gonna cut this. Okay, even there on that little bit, I did that with 3 cuts. I got my person here, I want a table about 6 feet long, so I'm gonna look at that bit and say, oh, okay, I want a table. It's a little thin, this table. I've actually made it only 24 inches, maybe 26, 28. Tables are usually a little bit wider, but for the sake of the argument, now I have my table here. I could use more foam core to hold this up. I could actually build up layers to create something if I wanted. If you wanted to make stairs, I've done stairs this way, where I have, I just keep cutting pieces and they line up and drop one on top of the next. I know that's a little, maybe not the best illustration, but you can see how you can start building platforms and stairs. But if I just have this piece ready for my table, and I know that I want to put some legs on it really quick and stand it up, I can just draw that line on there real quick. So I've got that width, and then slice that. Now this is out of cardstock here, and I know I want my table yay high. So now if I take my tacky glue, which I have here, and I like this kind of bottle dispenser, the kind they used to have, the lids were really pretty nasty. I'll put a little tacky glue on here. It's nice because it doesn't melt the foam board, which many other supplies do. other kinds of glue, like if you were using hot glue or something like that. No, I wasn't real good about measuring this, but that was actually on purpose, because I want to show you that if I didn't measure and mark this, did you see how I just free-handed that? This gets a little woggly and weird. Now, I could certainly leave it like that for the moment and let it dry and then cut that away, or I can peel these off. But as I'm building my furniture, I like to keep my person nearby. I could easily have made this bit on the end taller, and then it'd be a bed headboard and a baseboard down there. You could even argue that's what I'm doing. But then I can turn these quickly into chairs by slicing two pieces, gluing them one onto the next, and then adding a piece of cardstock up the back like that. And again, when you do your cuts, please make sure that you're cutting at 90 degrees. So maybe what you want is a triangle, and you want to check and make sure that you're cutting at the 90 degrees. So can you see how I'm running this down the edge here? Nice and straight. If I don't have it lined up, I'm going to get a really weird, wonky cut there. But what I want is a piece that is square all around. And this blade, I can tell, is really getting dull already. So pretty soon I'm going to have to change that tip, make that work better. But you saw how I just sliced through there, 3-4 passes, and it cut pretty well. And as I say, if I wanted to do something with stairs, or a platform or a window seat, yeah, can you see how that's just getting kind of dull there? I can, I'm using this to check my lines to make sure I'm at 90 degrees. Can you see I've almost cut all the way through, so I'm going to flip this over to try to finish that. Whoop. And now I've got this piece. If I take this now and stack it on top of my, wait, look at that, not a good cut. If I stack this up on here and I add my person, I've got some stairs going up. I can keep adding to this. I could also add more cardstock and what have you, and that'll give me platforms, furniture. It's really pretty fast and pretty easy to do. But the trick is just not to try to cut through it all at once, and to be careful when you're freehanding. I think it's much better to cut a few passes and start trimming away than to try to do it all at once. It just gets kind of ugly and nasty. Hope that's helpful. I can find out how to stop the recording.